At Total Pharmacy Care, we fill your prescriptions and answer any questions about your medications. No distractions and no long lines. Tell your doctor to send your prescriptions to Total Pharmacy Care. And welcome back to another episode of the Bank On It podcast. Episode number 33. Shout out to, I already forgot who I was going to say. I was going to say Patrick Ewing.
Oh, Patrick Ewing. You got to go Larry Bird, number 33.
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously,
he made the number famous.
I'm trying to go away from the obvious, especially ever since last week with the Jamal Anderson thing to everybody.
The Danny Green one would have been the best if you was trying to go away
Danny
from the
Granger.
Danny Granger, yeah.
Or Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
That would have been
Anyway,
better.
we're back for another episode, and we want to say thank you to our sponsors, the city of Pikeville, the beautiful city of Pikeville, which you can see right behind us. Go check out their website at www.visitpikeville.com. Check out all the things coming up this summer in the city.
And we also brought to you by Presbyterian Homes of Cedar Creek and Good Shepherd at Phelps. If you're looking for quality care for loved ones, look no further than Presbyterian Homes of Cedar Creek and Good Shepherd at Phelps. Both facilities treat your loved ones with care and respect. They offer therapy, daily activities, exquisite cuisine, and home-like settings to make your family members feel at home. Call to schedule an appointment today. At Cedar Creek, call Jessica Thacker at 432-8243, and at Good Shepherd, call 456-8725. Caring for your loved ones is what we do best.
Yeah, and thanks again to our sponsors. And as always, I'm joined by Regional Sports Editor Randy White, Corey Vance behind the camera. My name's Wes, and we are at the beautiful, newly named Appalachian Wireless Arena.
Yesterday it happened officially. Now, like we knew it was coming, but now officially. So your job titles keep changing from East Kentucky Expo.
Yeah, I mean, it may be a new job title a month before it comes down to. Who knows? We'll see what ends up happening, but. Thanks again for joining us. And listen, man, lots of baseball still going on in the area. I know a lot of the local teams are kind of not moving on, but we've got lots of highlights with everything that's gone on in the last week or so.
Yeah, the region tournament finished up last week, and out of our coverage area teams, we've got one standing after the semi-state eights this weekend. Johnson Central Softball, their season came to end Saturday to Ashland. They fell 1-0 against a good Ashland team. Nothing to be ashamed about in that loss. I mean, they won the 15th region title. They beat Pike Central in the championship game 9-1. They look really good. Johnson Central just kicking on all cylinders right now. I mean, they've been playing well. The team we have left is Hazard, the Hazard Bulldogs. They go to the semi-state 8, and they beat Corbin 1-0 in 10 innings. They will play again Thursday evening in the final 8 of the state tournament, and I think they've got Trinity this year. So a big matchup. But this team, you've got to realize, they've been there, they've done that. They've won 4 region tournaments in a row, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
They've won 5 out of 6 region tournaments. Last year they went to the state semifinals and nearly beat St. X. I mean, they had an excellent showing against St. X. So this Hazard team has got proven guys with experience, and, the coaching staff there, Coach John Meehan and his guys, tremendous job. If you want to see good coaching and good baseball, the way they teach, the way they communicate with their players, it is fun to watch. I recommend anybody who likes baseball, go watch this Hazard team. So, I mean, we got plenty of highlights from last week's region championship. I'll be down there Thursday for to cover Hazard in Lexington at the Whitaker Bank Park, but we got plenty of highlights, so everybody should check out all the highlights from last week.
All right, and then we also have some softball action going on in the Tug Valley area.
Yeah, the Lenore Middle School team, they've recently won, their county championship, and our sports writer Josh Blankenship, who's been on the show plenty of times, he sat down and did a tremendous interview with the team, and I think it's going to be, the story was fascinating in the paper, but this interview, you're going to see the personalities of these girls who play, and it's really good. It's something to watch, and it makes you cheer on the local kids who have this much excitement about sports and what they're doing, and they're taking pride in what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's something that we definitely love, and so stick around. Shout out Josh Blankenship, by the way, doing a great job. Stick around, check out the interview.
On the field, we was just trying to be like, don't get down. It's not that big of a deal. We can come back. And
I feel like the first game it was more stressful, and the second game we were more calm.
We started cheering and got all of our spirits back up.
In both games, really, when the girls came in the dugouts down, if they made a mistake, we tried our best, we tried our best to cheer them up and let them know that it was just a mistake and they can fix it.
The first game against Maitland, we played Maitland twice in the season, and we mercied them both times. So I think we got to Maitland playing them, and we got really confident, and we knew we was going to win. And it was a different game than what we thought it would be.
Yeah.
Can't really remember anything. Everybody was jumping over here, laughing over here,
Headaches was like the number one.
Definitely
I was
a lot of
so
cheering.
loud.
rattling the pitcher.
I remember before those evenings, no one was really cheering. We was all kind of getting sad and upset. And
Had a great
we all was yelling at each
cheer
other.
section.
And we did have a great cheer section.
We had
Yeah,
a
they
great
did.
cheer section.
Yes.
But we was all yelling at each other and stuff, and then we eventually got calmed down, and then that's when the fifth inning happened, and then we all started hitting the ball, and we started getting more runs, and then we all got hyped, and we just continued banging on the fence.
I feel
Yeah.
like once we got over our nerves, we started doing a lot better
Yeah.
because we were nervous in the beginning.
Really, I feel once we got the runs and came up, we all just kind of put our spirits up, and everyone, when they went out on the field, wanted to try their hardest because they knew we were up, and the only thing they were thinking was we needed to hold them because we had this game if we could hold them.
Let's talk about the moment the game ended.
We were.
Let's talk about how crazy that was, because I bet, yeah.
On
The
the
Maitland game, we were all going crazy. I didn't even realize we won until everybody started jumping everywhere and going up
That's
the
the
field.
fastest I've ever.
Well, our championship game, Dana, the girls that were sitting in the dugout, Dana said, come stand by the fence. And when they made that last catch, we all just ran out on the field and hugged each other. And it was just a really exciting moment to.
The last play you
struck someone out.
Yeah.
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 Broke my face mask.
I remember jumping on somebody.
The tournament
Catch,
ahead.
we run.
Yeah.
If we missed a catch, we
Fence
would
and
run
back
to the fence and back to our spots.
And if we swung at balls,
Above our head, we would run.
If we'd miss a ball, and
We
then
ran a lot. We ran a lot.
yeah.
Basically, if we messed up on something, we'd have consequences, and
But we made
Yeah.
up for our mistakes. And consequences, I feel really the thing that brought us up. And because if we wouldn't have had consequences for our mistakes, then we wouldn't have learned what we was doing wrong.
yeah.
I don't know. I hit the ball and I ran to first, and Mickey was jumping up and down. So I kept going, and then I ran to second, and I seen Nina jumping up and down. So I just kept going, and I've never run that fast in a game because I don't know.
I remember that like a lot.
Yeah.
I think right before that, I had got out, and then Andrew was behind me. So
Yeah,
there
it
was
was
already
2
two
outs.
outs. Yeah. And then
it
you
was
had
the bottom
Maddie
of
and
the seventh.
Kyla.
Yeah.
Kyla on base, and then when Andrea hit it, I thought I was about to die because I thought she was gonna catch it, and when she didn't,
I was like,
we was all screaming and yelling.
Yeah.
And then when she got the third and she was running home, they had eventually
They
got the ball back and they
threw
was
it
throwing it to
home.
home.
Yeah.
And they
And
overthrew her, and she was safe, so she got it inside the park home.
Yeah.
And then Andrea also said, y'all better be glad that I got a new pair of wheels
Yeah.
yesterday. This is kind of, we were all jumping up and down, and we was hugging Andrea. We just got just like a big team hug to Andrea.
Yeah, me and Millie got to choose where we ate because she got a home run and I got a home run. So
I think Millie was next up to bat, and Andrea hit that and got a home run, Millie didn't realize we had
I
won the
wasn't.
game.
I was ready. I
So
was
we
ready
was
to
all
go
running.
back, but then I looked at the scoreboard and I was like, oh, we won.
Yeah, we were all running out on the field, and she was like, "What are you doing?"
I was really
Y'all are
nervous
not allowed to do
because
that.
I got out every time before that.
Yeah.
Throughout the season, our girls improved with every game. We just felt that there was just minor perfections that we had to have in the field. And that's one of the things we worked on. We field. And the girls learned, and it got to the two tournaments that they knew if they made a bad throw or if they made a bad catch or didn't make effort that they were running. We ran a lot of laps and a lot of sprints to the fence and back.
Yeah.
So they learned really quick that when they came to practice, we weren't there to goof
They needed
off.
to have their minds right.
Yep. And in leading up to the tournament, we talked about our tradition. We talked about what Lenore was and what people knew about Lenore and where we were at, and how we got here and why we have the name that we have. This is our 5th year. Lenore, up until that point, had won the last 4 years a championship in softball, and we've dominated the county. Up until this year, we had not lost a county game.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we did take a loss this year in the county, and we learned from it. And I felt that the girls, from the very beginning of the season, we had some people playing in positions that they'd never played before. We had some girls that had never even picked up a softball before. As the season progressed, they done better, and it's just a learning curve, and they improved very well. Even towards the end of the season, we were still moving girls and perfecting different areas depending on who we were playing.
Yeah.
Depending on who our opponents were, depended on who my first baseman and third baseman was.
Yeah.
We even switched out our catchers from time to time. Depending on who we had on the infield and who we could play and who we didn't need to play. But mostly it came down to the opponent that we were playing.
Yeah.
And where we needed a better, stronger player at, and where we could lack a little bit in different areas. And Mickey and I did our best to play every one of our girls. All of our girls had the opportunity to play, and they may not have been the best on the team, but hey, they put forth the effort. They came to practice. They done their part, so we thought that they had the opportunity to be able to play. And so we played a lot of girls that some of the other teams would have looked at us and said, why are you playing her? Why you got this one sitting on the bench? But we felt that these girls, very few missed practices for some of the girls, but most of our girls had 100% participation for practice, and we had no issues as far as grades. We didn't have no fighting amongst the girls. We had a really good set of girls this year. And Josh, they had to. Mickey and I were just a 2-man team, and if our girls were in the dugout and they're hitting, Mickey and I are standing on the field coaching bases. So it was up to our 7th graders and our 8th graders to keep everybody motivated and up and going, because neither one of us could sit there and babysit and say, girls, cheer each other on, or girls, you got to get yourselves built back up. So
Yeah.
they had to learn to build each other up, because Mickey and I couldn't do it every inning. So we done it coming in the field and going out on the field, but it was up to them, and they learned really quick and early on that was their job. Well, our girls were the comeback kids this year. Every game that we played, with the exception of 2 or 3, we were always coming back. And Mickey and I told them every game, girls, you all gonna give us a heart attack. We cannot do this every game. We have got to play from the first inning. We've got to show up first inning,
Got
first
to put in a
pitch.
complete game. Yeah.
Yes. And they were, and I'm not saying that they had bad first 2 or 3 innings. It's just that it took them 2 or 3 innings to get going. We tell them, girls, you got 2 more innings, you got 3 more innings, whatever the inning count was. We'd say, are you all going to play? Are we going to show up? You all have got to, we've got to get base runners.
I think they just like torment us a little bit.
Long awaited, probably a little bit overdue. I'm not exactly sure of the criteria, but Tim Couch getting inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Listen,
Argument here.
I'm a Jared Lorenzen guy. I love Jared Lorenzen, probably my favorite quarterback of all time at UK. But Tim Couch on some just god-awful teams was super fun to watch.
Yeah, it took him to bowl games.
Yeah.
The guy was successful. I actually got to watch him play basketball in high school
Yeah.
when he was at Leslie County. I didn't see him play football, but he came to Shelby Valley when I was a kid. And the dude could play some basketball
Yeah.
as well. So, very deserving. And the one thing that always kills me about Tim Couch is when you hear people talk about him, they refer to him as a bust now in the NFL. He was not a bust. He took that team to 2 playoffs.
Yeah, and an expansion Browns team.
Expansion Browns.
So if you think about the Browns, as bad as they were a couple of years ago, multiply that by about 100, and that's how terrible the Browns were in the late 90s, early 2000s, after they had moved the team to Baltimore and then started the Browns back from scratch as an expansion team. Tim Couch was the first pick.
He was their guy. And, to me, when his career really started to go, off the rails a little bit, it's because of injuries. It was nothing playing-wise. It was until he started getting a few injuries here and there. And then that's kind of what derailed his career, in my opinion. But, I've always followed Tim Couch a long time, being an Eastern Kentucky guy. I always rooted for Tim Couch, even when he was in Cleveland.
Yeah, an absolute legend in the mountains and something for everybody. Listen, everybody in this area was a huge Tim Couch fan, and definitely a big shout-out and a congratulations to Tim Couch, a UK legend and an Eastern Kentucky guy. And then we've got the NBA Finals knotted up at a game apiece.
Man.
I didn't expect the Raptors to take Game 1 like that.
Game 1, Golden State played awful, in my opinion. And they were still in the game. They had chances. But Kawhi and those guys, Van Vliet, hit some killer threes. They came up with play after play. You got to give Toronto credit because they're not done. It's 1-1. We counted them out a little bit too soon against the Bucks. But this thing is wide open. But, the way Golden State played Game 2, if they play like that each game, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, you don't anticipate. I mean, they get big shots from guys that are role players. Andre Iguodala, who's been huge for them for years now,
and probably a bad shot, that 3 at the end of the game. I mean, I know he's open, but you hold the ball and you don't shoot it till you have to. When it hits the rim, they maybe have a second and a half if they get the rebound. So, in that situation, it might not, but it went in, so it's a good shot. So.
I mean, he was wide open, so I guess I understand and he had plenty of time to set and take that shot. But, you'd like to, you'd think you'd like to take a few more seconds off the clock. Anyway, the Warriors end up just barely pulling out Game 2, 109-104. So, like you said, we've been guilty of kind of counting the Raptors out. We counted them out against the Bucks. I thought they'd be lucky, and I said it on here, to take a game from the Warriors.
I did too. I thought they might get a game or two. Now who knows? Klay Thompson getting injured is huge. Durant's out. Cousins is coming back, and I think Cousins might have been their MVP in that game too. The way he passed the ball, the way he defended Gasol. I mean, when the ball is moving, even if it's in his hands or Draymond's right now, the ball is moving and it's not stagnant. So it is fun to watch.
And if there was anything that the Warriors were lacking prior to DeMarcus Cousins coming back, it was that presence in the middle. I mean, Andrew Bogut and Looney and these other guys, they're not DeMarcus Cousins.
No.
I mean, he just makes such a huge difference when he's out there on the floor. And, how about the Doc Rivers comparing Kawhi to Michael Jordan? Did you hear this?
I did not hear that. I that's a tough comparison, but hey, he hit some big shots. I've not seen him close either the first 2 games against Golden State, but he does play defense and he does play offense well.
Yeah, and I mean he is he's game to guard. I mean, what he did against Giannis in the Eastern Conference Finals, if KD ends up coming back, you can guarantee that Kawhi's going to be the guy that's going to guard him. And as if he wasn't lining himself up already prior to all this for a gigantic contract coming up, I mean, he's probably going to end up being one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid player in the NBA. It's just a question of whether or not he ends up staying in Toronto. And Toronto's sneaky good. Who knows? They may pull this series off.
And if they do, that might give him more incentive to return. Who knows? But either way, Kawhi's going to be good anywhere he goes. He's already proven he can win championships. So.
And be sure to check out some of the cool features we have coming out in the paper. I'm sure we'll be talking about them more on the podcast. We got some cool stuff coming up from the Appalachian Newspapers gang with Father's Day feature, Definitely the all-mountain softball and baseball teams are on the horizon, so be on the lookout for that. And thank you again to our sponsors, Presbyterian Homes of Cedar Creek and Good Shepherd at Phelps, the beautiful city of Pikeville. Check out their website, www.visitpikeville.com, and Total Pharmacy Care. Thanks again, and join us next week for episode number 34 of the Bank On Podcast. Thanks.